No. Hello and welcome to NORA.startup stories. In Norway, artificial intelligence is really growing, and it's so exciting to see a lot of companies coming up with, as previously mentioned, SpaceMaker being acquired, and but also AutoStore getting a large investment from SoftBank, and more recently, kind of these new companies coming up that we are going to present here today. Who knows, maybe you will be seeing the next kind of big startup in the field of artificial intelligence out from Norway today. I think it's a very vibrant community, and also we have been wanting to kind of get like a diverse range of startups with us today. Just to let you know in the very beginning here that we have this NORA startup, and what we do is that we bridge the gap between the startup and research environment within artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics in Norway. So if you want to become a member of NORA startup, and there will likely be a link in the chat, or you can find a way to kind of become a member on the website. And being a member of NORA startup is free. And we work with these startups to kind of think about how we can bridge that gap between research and startup activities within their companies. So yeah, if you are interested in possibilities for soft funding, or getting really brilliant researchers on board, that's what we want to help with, because we want a startup community that is vibrant in Norway. So yeah, I'm just going to do like a short round of introduction of each member. They're going to tell a few sentences about themselves, and then we'll start the presentations. If you have been here before, then you are very familiar with the process. I will just start by introducing myself. My name is Alex Moltzau, and I'm your host today. And my background is split between social science and programming, and I work with AI policy and ethics in the Norwegian Artificial Intelligence Research Consortium, NORA. However, I'm also very interested in sustainability in the field of artificial intelligence, and that is kind of what my research interest is mainly. So let us start with Gro Merete Jonsrud. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you, Alex. Yes, I'm Gro Merete Jonsrud. I'm a co-founder and CEO in Propell.ai. My background is 10 years from bank and insurance in Storebrand and If, before I left for the consulting industry for 8 years in Capgemini and Itera. And from 2016, I was brought in to Blue Garden to ensure growth so they could be sold. So in 2017, we were both bought by Visma. And I have been in Visma the last 3.5 years as a sales director for the state and private sector. But in common, it's IT all over these roles. So I've been in IT and tech for actually over 20 years. So I'm quite an old lady.
So, I mean, experience is always a plus. I guess the more successful startups have experienced people in them, at least, you know, according to statistics. So it's always a safe bet for investors. Now, if I may introduce another person, his name is Sondre Pedersen, and he was actually part of the steering group for NORA startup, but then he was working for NORA, the startup lab here, which is like the coolest environment in Norway for startups, I think, within technology. So, and then of course, when you know, like when in a startup ecosystem, you know, start a startup, and you are now in a startup. I think that's super exciting. And actually, when I talked to Anders Mjøstedt in Mesh recently, I asked for a recommendation for an AI startup, like what's the hottest coming up, and he was like, yeah, there's this company called Findable, you know, that you really need to check out. So, so it's the word on the street, you know, it's already pretty good. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Sondre?
Yeah, amazing, and thanks for that introduction, Alex. I mean, well, I think that's the hard part when working in the startup ecosystem. It's that you're getting so excited about what everyone else is doing, and suddenly you find yourself doing the same. Well, my name is Sondre Pedersen. My background is from engineering at NTNU. I've spent most of my professional career commercializing science, so working with SINTEF, the Norwegian Geotechnical Institute, the Norwegian Defense Institute, and working with the research they are doing there and trying to commercialize that. That led me to another entrepreneurial journey, which we're not going to be spending so much time on now. But for the last 2 years, I've been working at Startup Lab and help building the data science lab, which is an initiative for data science related startups and to help them basically grow. And that's also where I met my co-founders now, Fredrik, Knut, and Lars. And we decided right before Christmas to start Findable, which I'm going to be telling you about a bit later on, I guess.
Okay, thank you so much, Sondre. And for the third startup that we have heard today, if I can hear from Gurvinder Singh Daya, and he is the CTO of Synergies. I mean, well, like it's probably one of the most exciting fields within AI right now, and I guess it's like all across the scientific, magazines like Science, Nature. Everyone is talking about it, so take it away, Gurvinder.
Thanks, Alex. So hi, I'm Gurvinder. Actually, I'm one of the co-founder of Synergies. I have a background from computer science. So I did my master at NTNU and started working at a company called Uninet. I started actually in a kind of a network analysis and computer networks. And there I was working with analyzing large amount of network data coming from the Norwegian research sector. And that actually got me interested into more data analytics. And then I started to lead the data analytics area in Uninet. And after that, working there a while back and building some national services, I started to dig more and more into the machine learning. And then in 2017, I switched over to Every. And since then, actually, I've been kind of working and leading the AI team there, building stuff. And later on, around 2016, I met Rami also while I was Uninet, working with the different research projects with researchers. And then I get to discuss a lot of different ideas in biotech and bio in general and AI. And then we kind of brainstorm different ideas, and that's from where the Synergies came. And I will talk about that actually later on, a bit about what we are doing at Synergies and what's interesting for us and possibility it enables.
Great, thank you so much, Gurvinder. And we will now start with the presentations. And the first to present is Sondre Pedersen. So the virtual floor is yours, Sondre.
Hey, thanks. All right, let's see if we can get this up there. I think you can see it now. So in December, we decided to start Findable. And basically what we do is that we organize documentation and make it accessible using AI. And before we kind of jump into the company, I would also like to just talk a bit about how we formed the company and the people.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think I don't fully see. Can you just try to share your presentation again? There we are. Let's see. And then try pressing again. Just press forward.
Let's see if it works. Does it work now?
Yeah, and just try to press one slide ahead. Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. No worries. There always needs to be a hiccup when doing digital presentations, so that's good.
Yeah, it's mandatory.
All right. Now, so the background from kind of why we founded Findable was basically that Fredrik, who is our CEO, he worked at Ambita, where he was the CTO, and had Lars and Knut as consultants. And when COVID hit, they needed to lay off all their consultants, and suddenly Lars and Knut, which are super smart people, found themselves without a job and figured out, well, since we both need to do something new now, why not try to start something new? And then got Frederick on board. But Lars has a PhD from Paris, and he's been working with everything from the Norwegian Defense Institute, the Norwegian Computing Center. He's been a professor to position at NTNU and the University of Oslo, and has long experience in kind of the visual part. And Knut has been working almost 25 years at Yahoo and Google and Cisco. And those two combined are kind of what made the foundation for the company. And afterwards we get also Lynn, which I'll come back to. She's working with the application. And then you have me and Fredrik, who's working on the more commercial side. And basically how it started was that we had Lars and Knut, who's really good at understanding documentation. So the first thing we started looking into was the legal space, because documentation is very important in that space. And after playing around there for some months, we figure out that the legal tech industry, they weren't that interested in becoming more efficient, since their business model is paid by the hour, and it doesn't necessarily help to make them more efficient. So we ended up figuring out that, that building documentation is essential for reaching the climate goals. And that was kind of the eye opener for us, and which kind of forced us to start looking into more, what can we do in this space? We're very good at understanding documentation. We do want to take part in the green shift that is coming. And just figuring out that building documentation was a bottleneck kind of got us excited for this type of company. So what we basically found out was that in order to reuse the material or a product within a building, you need to have either the original documentation, or you need to prove the material condition of the product or material. And today that's pretty hard, because documentation is usually a mess, or as statistics are stating it, it's a jungle of PDF and other documents where it's almost impossible to find anything. And the second factor is that 80% of all the buildings in 2015 is already built. So one of the most important climate action we can do in this industry is basically to maintain our buildings better. And for that, the documentation of what the building is made of and how you should manage it and so forth is super important. So building documentation is essential in the whole life cycle of a building. You have it in the beginning where you're building it. You need to document what goes in and how to maintain it. It's important for the building owner after the building is built in order to have efficient facility management, but it's also important if you are selling or buying the building. And lastly, we have the part where you want to reuse building materials, where now there's a lot of good startups doing the product mapping physically in the building, but we still lack the part where we connect that to the documentation, which actually makes it reusable. So that's where we hope we can contribute. So what we basically have built is what we call an AI workbench, where you give us the documentation you have. Usually these documents are in a basement or in a folder and so forth. So we have partners who scans it in. They dump all the documentation in our AI engine, and we sort it. And now we're roughly on a 95% precision in the categories where we have enough data, and which means that we always need to verify some of the data coming out, and that's what we use our platform to. And how we see kind of the world going is that first and foremost, you need to have organized documentation in order to have effective facility management, in order to find the documentation you need. A classical example is if you have a lot of buildings far from each other and the janitor needs to go and change a light bulb. Today, if you don't have the documentation for the lighting, he will usually go to the building, use a ladder, look at the lamp, figure out which light bulb he needs to replace, go down, either buy it or go to the storage and fetch it. But if he had the documentation on forehand, he could basically just sit on the computer, figure this out, and just go and grab the right light bulb at once, meaning that it will save time. And this is all these things here sums up when you have a large portfolio of buildings. And the other one is when you have them organized, we're looking into how can you do it more by search, and when you are able to search and find the information in the documents or in the building documentation, so you are also able to automatically suggest such as maintenance schedules. You can help find documents which are related to building certifications and so forth. So you can automate a lot of the manual work that's done today. And last but not least is the thought of having a digital twin of your building. And what we are seeing now is that a lot of building owners are re-BIMing their buildings, or they are scanning their old buildings. But in order to get the information into this new digital twin, you also need then to have this documentation in a way that's easy to connect to your new model. So shortly, we hope to be a positive contributor towards helping this industry become climate neutral. We're solving the pain of facility management or efficient facility management and selling buildings in the due diligence process and so forth. And we have created a live, which is quite cool. In 4 months, we created this live AI platform which customers are using today, and it's self-learning, so it's continuous getting better. And we are, for those of you listening who are maybe looking to join us, we are looking now also to grow our team. So feel free to reach out if you want to join us in the mission on organizing documentation.
Awesome. That's is that the presentation finished, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if anyone has question or otherwise, I would love to elaborate.
Yeah, we will have a discussion section. So I'm sure it will be possible to get some questions in, and I also have some questions for you too. I mean, it's like documentation. You know, it doesn't sound so exciting, but when it's done in this way, you know, then and it solves such a big issue and pain. You know, I think everyone can identify this jungle of PDFs. You know, I think even people personally end up with a bit of a jungle. So yeah, I'm just gonna move over to the next startup, Propell.ai and Gro Merete Jonsrud. So are you ready, Gro?
Yes, always ready, Alex.
I know. You're always ready. We actually met in a community event like recently, and it was a lot of fun to see people like in real life. So, so do you have the presentation, Gro?
Yes. Yeah, it was really fun to meet all you guys in NORA and all the startups. It's a long time since we have met so many people. Having a beer and good food and a good conversation. Yeah,
I think like clearly a lot of AI startups can learn from each other, and I thought it was really great to see the conversations. But I also look forward to getting your updates. You know, because something is always happening with Propell.
Yeah,
it keeps spinning. You know.
Yes, we here in Propell we have a lot of energy, Alex. Can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Yeah. first of all, I would like to say that we in Propell are very honored to be part of NORA.startup. It was quite process with interviews with your professors and everyone. So I'm so glad that we could tell you that our motivation to be a part of it is quite high. So I believe that together with all of you other startups in this consortium, we can create synergies for the better for our customers and the world. So thank you for being a part of NORA. I had actually this presentation earlier, so I don't go into that now. But I've been in large enterprise customer. I've been in big enterprise companies for 20 years, and I started to get quite tired of working in large companies. So I was into 2020, I was thinking I need to start a new adventure. And in Capgemini and Itera, I worked with a fantastic guy. Probably many of you know him. It's Anders Lier. Anders Lier, he called me and he asked if I would join him establishing Propell Group.
Gro, sorry to interrupt you, but could you also turn on your camera?
Okay. Oh yeah, start video. Yeah, there?
Right. Yes, brilliant.
Yeah. So I've been working with Anders Lier for 8 years in Capgemini and Itera. So when he called me and I said, Gro, do you want to be a part of a new startup? Let's start up Propell. Then he had me already at hello. He has the same energy level as all the other in Propell. And Anders, I guess you know him because he is an impact investor and he have been growing startups for many, many years. He pioneered impact tech investment in early stage as a co-founder in Catapult. So he has invested in many, many startups and brought them up and built global community for impact tech. So Anders, he wants always to do something better for the world. So in Propell Group, we established, in Propell Group, we have Propell.ai, which I'm the co-founder and CEO of. We are selling AI-driven cloud solution, but we have also Propell Intelligence, which is data-driven innovation. And we have also Propell Capital. And in Propell Capital, we are bringing together ideas, people, and capital and create unique platform for startups. So if any of you startups or any of you having an idea, please come to Propell and work together with us because we have a Propell launch platform. And together we have a lot of relations and network and very good advisors to bring in when you're starting up a new company. So I needed to tell you that we can also be a partner for you if you want to do that. We are, for example, also in capital building new companies these days. It's Energy AI. It's quite new founded. It was founded in Energy AI. That's the next generation intelligent net zero platform. And we launched it in the New York Climate Week. So that's one of the company in the Propell. And we have also Bifrost. They are actually esport club. They have ambitions to become the world's most admired esport club. We will build a global esport community that will make the world a better place to live in and to make esport thrive. Data-driven innovation, machine learning, and AI are the things we think are powerful tools to make this happen in Bifrost. So they are working with gaming for greater goods. So that's also a Propell company. And we have a goal to actually establish 12 Propell companies in the capital area within 24 months. So we will build much new companies. But tomorrow is coming prepared today. That's our slogan in Propell.ai. I thought it was nice to tell a little bit about the Propell Group but now I'm going back to Propell.ai since we are the company that is included in NORA.startup. Propell.ai was established 5th of October last year, so we have actually 1 year's jubileum. Yeah, we are 1 year these days actually, and now we are over 30 people, and we have sold the contracts for over 250 millions. So we have grown very, very fast. And how can we grow so fast? That's because we have access to a world-leading AI team in Vic.ai, which is the solution we are a reseller and implementation partner for. They have a lot of Kaggle champions and doctors, and they are solving any challenges that our customers have. We have a lot of big customers like BDO, PwC, etc., and they are demanding customers. So we are developing the AI platform with very, very high speed. The challenge we saw when we were actually establishing Propell.ai was that accounting is a global pain point. We see that only 11% have automated the processes through invoice processing. So what we do in Propell.ai, it's autonomous invoice processing. So we're going to actually have a touchless invoice processing with our software. To do that, we had to do some research in the market to see what kind of solutions are out there. And then we found the Vic.ai in the United States. Vic.ai has a world-leading AI algorithm based on and trained on a really unique data set from 24/7 Office. Because 24/7 Office was the first ERP in the cloud from 1997. They have 64,000 customers and a big data set with over 500,000 invoices. So when you have that and the best AI people in the world, you can build a quite unique AI algorithm. So we went into partnerships with Vic.ai as an integration and implementation partner for all ERPs. So 24/7 Office was selling this AI platform integrated to 24 as an ERP, but we are building all the other integrations now, so we can have Vic.ai as a core system to all ERPs in the Nordics and in the world. And then we go to accounting firms and big enterprise customers with a lot of volume in invoicing. How is this working? Well, we get the invoices in, they learn and train on historical data and how this is recorded at the macro and customer level. Then we are doing this invoice processing. They go through the AI algorithm that come with posting suggestions. And then the human accountants, they are doing a control that confirms or correct the AI predictions. And then, of course, the AI learn from the corrections and make the learning that you get better predictions next time after learning the algorithm. Invoice handling, the solution Vic.ai, it has been developed since 2016. They have invested close to 250 millions. It's now a new PE company coming in. The VC company in Silicon Valley, Iconic, has gone into Vic with new 500 million to use the next 24 months to build new models and new services on top of the AI platform. As I said, it's a unique data set with a lot of invoices from many customers from many years ago. But the unique is that because of the data set, you have a clean AI solution. So there is no rules, there are no third party on scan or talk, and it's no punching of data. So there are no people sitting and converting PDF to EOF. Everything is actually AI, pure AI solution. and it's for large enterprise customers and for accounting firms. But based on that, you have also the macro level. It's of course also a very unique solution that can be used for small companies with small amount of invoices, because you have this global learning level. So the goal with the solution is that 95% of all the incoming invoices should be going on autopilot. Yeah. And of course, it will take some time based on that you have to do these controls and learn the algorithm, your company standards. But 95%, we have already customers having that. So it's going much faster than I was thinking when we started Propell. So this is clean AI. It's a smart version of bookkeeping. It's intelligent. You can call it a digital employee. It's self-learning and it's computer controlled. And we train the algorithm with the input from the accountants. So there are no rules, no RPA, no USR. So the VKI is built on autonomy and intelligence. What's the difference between autonomous invoice processing and invoice processing automation? That's a question many of the big accounting firms and the big enterprise customer are asking us now, because many customers has many rules and RPA and have automated maybe 55–60% of all incoming invoices. But when you need to maintain all these kind of rules, you actually don't get up to 90–95% automation. So the difference is that invoice processing automation is a rule-based process that extracts data from an invoice and uses it to populate all the required information into the accounts payable system. But the WIC AI, which we are delivering in Propell, that's an autonomous invoice processing, uses AI to run the accounting process from beginning to end. So this includes invoice entry, classification, matching, and approvals. So with the AI technology, it can extract the number on an invoice. It can understand and classify the cost, and of course send it to the right person for approval, or automatically approve it if it meets all the criteria. And that's why we can say that 90–95% will go on autopilot. We have a lot of customers coming in the last years. In Propell AI, we are now actually handling 10–12 different projects and working very, very much with BDO, PVC, Value Group, Athene Group, and of course also other accounting firms. But we have also started to go out to the market in the private sector. So we have started a project with Hovin and Hapro Electronics. And now where we are actually growing and have more people in place in Propell, we will start also going out to the private sector. We have actually had a strategy to focus on the accounting firms, because that's there we have the biggest volume of incoming invoices. So when BDO, for example, have a place between 3–4 million invoices, you know that it's more convenient to work with them than going out to 50–60 private customers to get the same volume. So that has been the strategy. But now we are also going into the private sector. And we are working in the Nordics, but we also see that we have clients global that make us going into other markets than the Nordics, for example, Netherlands and London, UK, etc. So we are going to go out to the big world. Yeah.
This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think we have to round off here just to give some space to Singins as well. Is that okay for you?
Yes, that was the last slide.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Well, I mean, there's so much to say about Propell. I mean, of course, it's it's such a growth company, and you know, you've done so well, and it's really great to hear about the amount of contracts that you have. 250 million. It's brilliant. So now we will hear from the last startup, and Gurvinder, are you ready to present?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great, brilliant. It's just as a reminder, yeah. So if you have about 10-15 minutes, and it's yeah, it's going to be really exciting to hear about your DNA design company.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so as I said earlier, we are kind of a DNA design company. I'm gonna kind of unroll a bit like what this DNA design mean and what the kind of market actually is. So a bit about the team before I get into. So we have because Synergies actually is because it's not just a computer company where we have an AI algorithm. So we actually need to have a wet lab part as well, because like AI algorithm generate some DNA sequences which needs to be kind of tested in the actual biological living systems. So that's why we have some people like Lisa, who actually does actually our lab experiments. We have rented a space at NTNU, so there we actually test out our predictions to see actually they work, how well they work in a living system, and does they produce what we want it to produce actually. And then we have a few mentors who are actually guiding us through our journey, and it has been really helpful into getting a lot of different stuff, because when you are developing and you're working on a kind of your own startup project, you can focus on very narrow focus and tech and everything, and having a kind of a pair of eyes which has a different background is really valuable. So that has actually helped us a lot actually. And then we have steering board members who have a different background, one from Gunnar Boy, who has a computer science background, and Alexander, who is from biotech. And two of us, me, as I told earlier, my background about computer science and AI, and Rami, who has a background in biotech. Because it's a company, when you're kind of working on a biotech field and bringing kind of an advancement in there, you need to have a both computational as well as the biofield background. So that's why we feel that the combination we have is very unique, and without it, actually, we will not be able to make any progress. So that's why actually you see that most often, even with the Google DeepMind or any big lab, actually they're producing papers or any ideas coming out in a advancement, they always has to collaborate with anybody from the biofield itself to actually validate their ideas. So that's what the kind of a necessity is. So anybody who's thinking to start in the biotech field better have a background or founders from different backgrounds. So what is kind of a bit of background? What is synthetic biology? Synthetic biology is like simply, if you think about the computer, it's like programming the biology cell itself or living system. It's like you program the computer to, let's say, design a website or develop a algorithm to actually compute your accounting. So you actually program for it. And similarly, in the synthetic biology, you program actually cell to produce whatever you want it to produce. You want to make a green color, the red color, or you want to kind of detect any arsenic or kind of chemicals which harms you in the drinking water, or you want to do like COVID tests or actually test out the COVID. And also there is this interesting example is from this company called Pivot Bio, where we have they have developed a microbiome which attach itself to the roots of the crop and attract the nitrogen from the air. So actually you don't have any waste which you have usually into from the synthetic fertilizer. So if your rain comes, there is nothing goes away because it actually attached to the roots of the plant itself. So there is no pollution from there. And this is kind of just a couple of examples, but the field actually is insanely crazy. Actually, in terms of example, there is one company called Milo, which producing leather from mushrooms. And they are actually companies who producing dye colors from bacteria. So there is actually huge opportunities and potential for especially the climate change, which is happening right now and affecting everybody's life. And motivation actually why we started. So we believe that actually that the biotechnology will be the manufacturing technology of the future, and that is really, I think we feel that within this decade, the biotech will the field itself will change a lot, precisely because of the advancement coming from the AI algorithm and AI field, as well as the computation capacity getting higher to enable us to making sense of a huge amount of biological data which has been generated since the 2000s, since we have the human human genome project. So there have been a lot of sequences being generated. So, but it's not able to understand easily what this information mean. But coming this field of AI and computation with all the GPU capacity getting better, I think this actually gonna transform this biology field in this decade. And we, between two of us, with me and Rami, actually, we met in 2016. And since then, we have been kind of trying out different ideas. And it's not simple to kind of land on some idea, which like, even once you have the idea that, okay, we want to combine this bio and AI and bring something with synthetic biology, it's not simple to see which part of it, because biology is pretty complex. So it's a kind of, you go back and forth, and we find after a while, trying out multiple ideas, we find that the designing kind of regulatory sequences, I will tell a bit about what those are, using AI has a kind of a unique potential to accelerate the biomanufacturing, which people are doing right now. So the problem actually is that how people are producing right now is that they want to produce, let's say, a chemical or an enzyme. Let's say, even take an example of COVID test. So they say, actually, we want to produce this protein, which is an enzyme, which is a kind of a protein. So they say, okay, we will produce this, and then you have to choose a specific host. Host can be E. coli or any other different kind of microbacteria or yeast, even, for example. And then you choose this host and you want to produce this gene, you need to have another circuit or another kind of component, which is called regulatory sequence, which tells that when this gene and under which conditions should be produced and how much it should be produced. Because cell is a living system which has a cost attached to it for every operation you do. Like as a human, you can see that when you're working or you're doing something, you consume energy, and you don't want to kind of exert too much of yourself, otherwise you will harm your own system. And same goes for the cell. So there are actually all this complex the processes are going on, which you want to kind of optimize for to produce whatever you want to do. And but the field itself is at this current stage is they use pre-characterized parts, which they have like, okay, they have a certain amount of regulatory sequence or a certain number of it, and then they say combined, maybe this one will work with the gene of interest which I want to produce right now, or maybe next one, and it's a kind of and because it's not really simple to actually tell if it will work, they have to really try out into the real organic living system, and which takes time. So it takes like 4 to 6 weeks to actually get a result of a single experiment. And so imagine that actually doing this multiple times, so you actually delaying your actual product which you want to bring to the market by months, or even sometime it take a year or so. And that's a huge cost to any company actually who want to bring new product in. So that's where actually we want to kind of bring more predictability into this space using AI. So how our platform works actually is that a customer comes and they say, okay, we want to produce a CDS. CDS is actually in a short term for coding sequence, which is considered as a gene sequence of the protein. They say, okay, we want to produce this gene, which is and they can actually tell that our manufacturing process only use E. coli or any certain host, or they can say, we don't care, you to suggest us which is the best host to use. And then we put it into our algorithm. Actually, then we select multiple hosts. If they have given then we restrict the selection of choices host only to that list. If they haven't, then we actually select the multiple hosts from our platform. And then we optimize only the gene sequences part. The optimization here actually employ that because each organism has its own preference of if you remember actually the DNA letters are ATCG. So there is a certain ratio of ATCG which is each organism prefer. So then we kind of optimize that. That's just a simple algorithm, and then there is nothing fancy about it. So we do first that part for each of the hosts, and then we feed those sequence combining with the host combination into our platform, which actually generates the regulatory sequence. And this actually is done by an algorithm which is trained on thousands of different bacteria on hundreds of millions of sequences. So it's quite a large data set, and it's a bit challenging for a small startup like us to kind of develop algorithms and train those, considering that it requires a good amount of GPUs and then resources. So we have actually developed it, and the platform actually generates the sequences based on the host you give. And then in the end, actually, it predicts a kind of a value. So this is called in technical term TPM, transcript per million, but they just consider like just a number. And that number actually tells that how much the gene of your interest is expected to be produced with given this host encoding sequence and regulatory sequence, this combination of 3 components. And then customer can actually decide based on, do they want to have a high expression or high yield of their product, or they want to have the medium or the low, depending on the product that actually can vary. So what the status of our startup actually, that we are, I think, barely 11 months old since we started, but we're working on it for like 3 years. But as a company, we started in last November. Since then, actually, we kind of scaled our AI models using Sigma 2 resources and running the wet lab experiments at NTNU. Recently, we won a prize from Adolf Wein's Fund. So it was a competition, and we was among one of the 3 startups actually who was able to win this prize. So that gives us some funding. Is we actually officially start working it, because we have been working this as on the side, but from this November, we're gonna officially start part-time working on our startup actually. And then as well on the side, we're working on starting a pilot project, because till here, all these experiments we have done is inside the lab for our own data set with a certain amount of proteins. But in the end, what really matters actually is that this algorithm actually prove their value to the actual end customer, which is in industrial processes used. So that's where actually we're now working on a pilot with a company in Tromsø to start a pilot project with them. And also for the research project application, we have been a member of applying IP and grants with some companies in Trondheim and IBM and SINTEF, and also writing an EU application. So that's a kind of a bit of a history about what Synergies does and what we're doing and where we are right now. But so feel free, I guess, ask more questions later on. I think that's about it for the presentation.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gurvinder. This was great. You know, you might know this, but we had this AlphaFold and Rosetta Fold workshop with NORA previously, and it was so popular. It's the most popular workshop we've had. I think we had around 600 participants. So this field is incredibly popular right now. So.
And it's definitely, this field has a huge potential to benefit the humanity and society in general, and it has a lot of challenges as well at the same time.
Yeah, I would want to bring back the other participants now as well, because we have 10 minutes to answer some questions from the audience. So if you are in the audience right now, your time has come. You know, this is you know, not in a once in a lifetime opportunity, because you probably will meet these people around, hopefully, but at least you know, they are at a unique point in their startup journey. So so you get a really good possibility to ask them some, if you have a burning question, then now is the time to ask. But I have a few questions, of course, as well. I just thought, you know, just straight off the bat with Sondre, I have just like 4 months and you have a live platform. That's pretty crazy. Like you said you're looking for people, but I didn't really catch who you are looking for. You know, what kind of skills are you looking for? Because I think that would be useful for the audience to know.
Well, that's a super good question. We are looking for several types of people. One is for operations. We are currently having trouble with a luxury problem. We have a high demand and we need to have people to help us fulfill that demand. But we're also looking for application engineers, and not so much on the AI part as of now. But if you are a front-end developer or a back-end developer and want to learn more about how to kind of deploy AI models together, that is something that then we really want to talk to you.
That's great. I mean, people like Gurvinder, they are fairly popular on the market, I guess. The doers, so to speak. But I just wondered something, because I remember Gro Merete, I think you mentioned this at some point, that that there are services that on the AI platform beyond handling invoices. Kind of like, what is the roadmap for this? So I mean, because that's something maybe you didn't get to mention as much during your presentation, and I'm really curious to get an update. So
I only am talking about invoice handling, but there is so much more. But first to Sondre, we have a company called Propell Minds in Ukraine, where we actually are building our own tech environment with a lot of developers and architects and integration specialists, test leaders, etc., etc. So we might be helping you with the developers and tech people if you want to. But yeah, that was another selling point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think there are so many selling points.
Yeah, but in the future, what can we do in the future? Of course, now we have an intelligent financial platform powering any business with focusing on AI-powered accounting and invoice handling. But in the future, when you have customers like BDO, PwC, very, very demanding big accounting firms, they have a quite long list of features they want to have into the solution and AI platform, as always. So now we are working a lot with the spend and cost analytics and fraud prevention, vendor benchmarking and optimization, and they want to have predictive analytics, so you can have a kind of forward-looking view with the graph analysis and pattern recognition to discover hidden relationships and themes in the algorithm. And of course, added to spend and cost analytics, fraud, predictive analytics, they want to have prescriptive analytics. So they want to have recommendation of optimal actions or decision. What should be done based on what the algorithm know? So they want to have kind of a real-time proposition based on the customer's market, product, etc. They want to have a rapid evaluation of what-if scenarios. And of course, decision and action optimization suggestions. They want to have a kind of assistant CFO in the algorithm. Yeah.
I see. So I mean, decision making, so to speak, a little bit of that too. But I think, you know, what I find great is that collaboration between AI startups. You know, Vic AI, you know, and Propell AI. It's like you know, a match made in heaven. But I can also kind of envisage this kind of package deal, right? That that you get possibly if you have Sondre's startup, you know, Findable. And then you just get it connected to all your construction documents, and then connected to your accounting systems, and you know, things just flow. So if we have kind of these collaborations, I think as well between AI startups, you know, because one thing is like having a product, but another one is getting the distribution as well, right, up and running, and to sell that product, and you know, and get those large contracts, which you are, you know, very good at getting. And I was just thinking about Gurvinder, because the Uninet Sigma 2 resources. First, I just wanted to mention that we collaborate with Uninet 2 Sigma, so we also work to kind of make their computational infrastructure available to our startups in NORA.startup. So if you join NORA.startups, that's something we can help with too. But I was wondering, how did you get Gunnar Bø on board? Because you know, very, very good person to have involved.
I have been actually, Gunnar Bø was actually one of my first manager when in my working life, because I started working at Uninet. So he was my first manager. So I know him more than 10 years actually.
So knowing people is the answer to some extent.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I guess startups, do you have any questions to each other? Because you know, I can ask questions left, right, and center, but what are you wondering about? You know, maybe you have some questions for each other. So
I was a bit curious about Gro Merete, how you guys are, how are you able to prioritize time when you're doing so many different things at the same time? How do you manage to add up?
We are not sleeping too much, and we have a lot of energy. But the best is that we have a philosophy in Propell that we are only employing the most competent people and the most kind-hearted people with the interest of technology and bringing something good to the future and to the world. And when you have that kind of enthusiasm in bottom of the culture, anything is possible. And we are happy to have this partnership with VK.AI, which actually is in Silicon Valley, having this AI team. Nothing is impossible to do. They are Kaggle champions, and they say, we fix it, give us some days, and it will be on the new release in 14 days. So I think the competence and the people, and I also think what's Gurvinder say, the relation we have to all kind of people and advisors in the whole world, bringing in by Anders, for example, from Catapult, but also me from 20 years in bank finance insurance. We have a lot of competent people with a lot of relations and network, and then you can bring in kind of advisors into the business that you can run very, very fast because you have insight. But also, yeah, prioritization. We are very customer oriented, Sondre. So. Yeah. I have been Nordic purchasing manager in If for 5 years, and I was always like that. When you have a supplier, they need to actually listen to you, and as a customer, you need to actually be a part of the roadmap, and you need to have the possibility to påvirke.
Influence.
To influence the way we're developing our platform. So we are prioritizing what PDO, PVC, the big customers. We have a customer board, they're coming to us, say, this is pain, this is a challenge, this can do our processes very much more effective or automate things. And so that's the prioritization, Sondre.
I see. Shout out to Einar Bergsaker, head of product of Propell in the audience, I guess. Very challenging tasks from all these customers.
Yes, Einar, he needs to prioritize quite heavily every day.
So what's your priority, Gurvinder? What's the main thing that you're working on right now? I guess the last question here, because we're running out of minutes.
Yeah. I think the main priority for us right now actually to have this pilot actually going on. So to actually bring the result and then kind of raise maybe more funding, because we haven't really kind of raised any funding as of yet. It's merely kind of the prize which we win and the soft funding part. So that's a kind of two things, the raising funding as well as then the pilot actually.
I see. So if
that's the two main things.
Anyone investing in the audience, or like anyone that knows investors? I know Gro Merete Anders Lie is always investing in a lot of companies.
Yeah. Come to Propell, Gurvinder.
Sure, we can drop you an email. Sure.
Yeah, or visit. I think hanging out with Gro Merete is really fun. So
yeah.
But anyhow, we have come to the end today, and thank you so much for being part of NORA startup community. And this is what we want. If startups can help each other, and if we can help each other here to reach the world with our solutions and help to make an impact in society, that's really what we can hope for. So thank you so much for participating today, and thank you to the audience for listening. So and I guess we will end our webinar there.
Have a nice weekend all.
Yeah, and also Sondre actually say hi to Knut. It was nice to see he's with you guys, because I know him from Trondheim. Because I know him very well actually since he was in Trondheim.
Cool. I'll drop him a note. Perfect.
Yeah.